This short video is going to evidence to you all that the media are lying before the rules are broken at Abu Dhabi 2021. And this is something that every fan of Formula One needs to see so that they can see what is actually being done to them. So if you can please share this, I would really appreciate it. The timestamp of where we're looking at is 1 hour, 34 minutes and 41 seconds into the coverage that you can get on F1 TV. I can't play your footage, it will get blocked on copyright here on YouTube. We are on lap 56 of 58. Now this is the crucial lap. The safety car regulations are mandatory. Okay, when a safety car is deployed in a race, racing gets neutralised. It has to get neutralised because you can't carry on racing, driving around a circuit at high speed when there's an incident that needs dealing with. So it needs to be made safe. The field bunches up behind the safety car, but what happens is if the leader has lapped cars, those lapped cars have to stay behind the leader at that stage whilst the incident is being dealt with. But the cars that the lapped cars were previously challenging, so in Abu Dhabi, Hamilton had made it past Norris, but Norris was actually in a race with Gasly. Gasly was only a few seconds up the road, relatively speaking, and Gasly disappears off around the track and catches the end of the safety car snake, essentially gaining the best part of a lap ahead of Norris now. So there is a requirement for these lapped cars to be released and be afforded one further lap of that safety car to try to catch the back of the pack, to restore sporting fairness to all of those competitors who've all been allowed to bunch up, all of the gaps that have been previously built up between them wiped out, and therefore they are restarting that race in the correct race order, nose to tail. The racing was neutralised for everybody, so it's a complete reset for everybody, every competitor, and that is why you have those regulations. Who has ever told you that? Who in the media has ever explained that to you, that that is what they have to do when there's a safety car situation, and that is why they have to do it? They don't. Instead of telling you that that's why they have to do it, they say it's to get those lapped cars out of the way of the race between the leaders. That's not its purpose at all. That is a complete fabrication, that they are using that to try and hype up the scenario to get you to focus on who's battling between first and second, when the reality is everybody in that race is racing. They all matter. All them positions matter. They're all trying to gain world championship points because that is going to add to the season long total. That matters. But the commentary teams are paid to hype it up for you, to get you excited, but they're not telling you the true purpose of what it is actually there for. So that's a problem. They also try and lie by saying that it's not a mandatory procedure, it's an optional procedure. The race director can choose whether or not he can do this or not. Absolute lies. Okay? The key wording here is if it's safe to do so, then you've got to do this. But if it's not safe to do so, all that means is it's not safe to go racing as well. Because if it's not safe to release lapped cars to carry out this procedure, well, it's certainly not safe to go racing, is it? So you continue lapping behind the safety car until such times where things are safe to carry out this procedure. You carry out this procedure, and that then creates the situation where then racing can resume. But that period does take time. And so this is the key. Lap 56 has to be that lap whereby the track has been declared clear and these cars that have been lapped are given the order to overtake and pass the leader, pass the safety car before the commencement of lap 57. That way, lap 57 can be that mandatory lap afforded to those release cars with which to afford them the opportunity of catching the back of the pack to restore sporting fairness to all competitors. And that is the only way that we can have a racing lap 58. If the cars can't be released on this lap, lap 56, then the earliest they can be released is lap 57. And therefore lap 58 has to be that mandatory lap afforded to them, which means that that would be a safety car finish. The only way you can resume racing is if this lap those cars are released. So this is the key lap, lap 56. If I chunk this on just 10 seconds here, we cut from Red Bull where they've retired Perez. Red Bull have retired Perez and they have handed the constructors' title to Mercedes in doing so. The retirement of Perez guaranteed that Mercedes were constructors' champions. Mercedes went into that race with a 28-point margin for victory. In the constructors' championship. That can't be overturned with just one running competitor because Max could have only got 26 points on his own by winning and getting the fastest lap. So Mercedes were already 28 points ahead. You take Perez out of the equation, that confirms Toto Wolff receiving the Constructors' Championship and the prize money of $177 million. They cut to the Mercedes pit. This happens a few times during this footage. During this last 5 laps of Abu Dhabi, where this Nicholas Latifi has crashed, they cut to Mercedes. It's a tyre narrative. Oh, look, Mercedes aren't able to change Lewis Hamilton's tyres. Oh, look, Mercedes, they're looking frustrated in the pits. They can't check. It's all a contrivance. It's an irrelevance because the key that you need to focus on is, can this race resume or not? Because if it can't resume, the tyre compound that you're on is irrelevant. Because it doesn't matter the performance advantages of one type of tyre or another, if all you can do is parade round behind that safety car until the incident is safe and until these procedures have been carried out, nobody's allowed to overtake one another. You stay in those positions that are already there. So it doesn't matter tyre compound, that only becomes relevant if it's possible to go racing. But you're not focusing on the factors which determine whether or not it's possible to go racing. Instead, you have what you're about to hear now, which is the lies from the commentary team. Absolute lies from the commentary team. And I'm going to play them to you now. So if you chunk this on a further 10 seconds, this is a very key banner. Race control, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. We're on lap 56 of 58. They're coming down that top straight in between turns 5 and turn 6. Okay, and this banner, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. That is not in any way an official FIA announcement. Okay, in the regulations, the actual wording of the official order given to cars is that overtaking will not be permitted. So if it's not safe to overtake, the message will be given, overtaking will not be permitted. That tells everybody that overtaking will not be permitted. So everybody is fully aware that overtaking will not be permitted. Very clear. Hence why it is worded that way. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. Well, what does that mean? Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. So it means, does that mean if you're not lapped, are you allowed to overtake? Are lapped cars allowed to overtake each other or not allowed to overtake each other? Who's allowed to overtake? Is it just does this message just apply to lapped cars? It's an ambiguous message, isn't it? It doesn't, it's not in the regulations. It is not in the regulations. But that is the message given out. Now, why is that given out? I'll show you why it's given out. If we cut over here, driver cams. If you've got F1 TV, you can do this for yourself. You click on that and you get this list of drivers. And you've got, and I'll show you, Nicholas Latifi. Number 6, Nicholas Latifi. So if I click on that, it shows us the driver camera of Nicholas Latifi's car. Now, this is Nicholas Latifi's car being craned off the track, and this is turn 14 of the track. Okay? You can see these men handling the car. It's being lifted by a crane. We play this through. And here, there are marshals on the track sweeping up debris. This is the clerk of the course dealing with this event, okay? Dealing with this safety issue, ensuring that the track is made safe before any of these procedures can even be carried out. This is the reason why that banner is given at that moment in time. So you can see that there are marshals on the track. If we cut back to the view that we all get, and again, there's no trickery in this from me. I've not paused the video. This is a footage. You can do this yourself. Here's the timestamp, 1:35:05 now. Okay, there is a slight delay between tracker view, data view, global feed. I can't do anything about that. I'm not doing that. This is what you get when you do this on F1 TV. 1:35:05. If I click back to the global feed, which will take a second or two.
At the end of this race,
so we're here, 1:35:06 now. We've still got this banner. Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. So this there, right? This is the point in time where the message is given to the world, and lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. There's a reason. Because it's not safe. It's not safe to carry out this procedure yet. That's all it is. The track is not safe. So if it's not safe, all you can do is keep lapping behind the safety car. If Max Verstappen wants a racing lap on lap 58, he has got to hope that this incident can be cleared up before the end of this lap, and that there is time before the end of this lap for those lapped cars to be released. Okay, because if they can't be released before the end of this lap, then the earliest they can be released is lap 57. It's going to be a safety car finish. But that's all that is happening at this moment. At this moment in time, no rules are broken. No rules are broken yet. Because they're just dealing with the incident and they can't release the lapped cars. The thing that's dodgy is this. The banner, lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. That there is a contrivance. That banner there is a contrivance. It is not an official, real announcement. Well, they've made it, so therefore they've made it a real announcement, but it's not in the regulations of the sport. So that shows you that something is happening at this moment in time, right, that is not right. But for us, the viewer, and for the commentators, and understand this, for the commentators' point of view, right, the commentators know the regulations, they know the rules. Despite lying to you, they know what needs to happen. Okay, lapped cars need to be released this lap. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you to tracker view, which again, we'll check the timestamp so that you all get to see it. 1:35:06, and lapped cars will not be allowed. So I'm going to go to tracker view. And you can see, I told you it was between turn 5 and turn 6 that we get that picture head on of the safety car with that snake of cars following it, and that banner across the top of the screen saying lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. I'm going to just rewind this 10 seconds. Bit of buffering today. Okay, so here we are. Here we are on track. Let's see if I can pick up the commentary. I might need to rewind another 10, but let's see if I've hit it to the right place in the commentary. And you can see over here, Perez has pitted, okay, for the retirement of Perez.
To overtake, not man.
I needed to go a bit further. Go back 10. Right, so they're now coming down that top straight. Here we go. Listen.
Checo, we need to retire the car. We need to retire the car. Box.
And for the
really? Yeah, box.
And lapped car.
Right. So, Red Bull have handed the Constructors' Championship to Mercedes.
Cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Okay. And lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. It is mandatory, Brundle says.
Mandatory in the regulations, which
It absolutely is.
leaves Verstappen with a lot of work to do then.
Doesn't. All it means is that if we can't get this incident cleared up this lap, then we're going to have a safety car finish. Sir Lewis Hamilton will become a record-breaking 8-time world champion. At that moment in time, they've lied ahead of this, but this is extremely key. This is what people need to understand. This is what they really need to understand, is they're being lied to by Brundle and Crofty to set this up right now.
So Mercedes will be Constructors' champions at the end of this race, as it stands at the moment, assuming that Hamilton and Bottas finish this race. The driver...
They can both crash out. They started with a 28-point margin lead in it before this race happened. If they both crash out and Max wins with fastest lap, they'll still win by 2 points. You're lying there, Crofty. You're diverting people. You're disorientating people. This is what you're doing all of the way through.
This championship, though, is very much up for grabs. The lapped cars won't be allowed to overtake, which means
the track isn't safe here at turn 14. Hence, they can't carry out the unlapping procedure yet.
That there are plenty of cars in between Hamilton and Verstappen for Verstappen to fight his way through.
This is the so-called media supposedly commentating on live pictures that they're seeing and telling you about. Get that through your head. They are supposed to be knowledgeable people commentating on what is unfolding in this race, and they are presenting a totally false situation.
Norris, Alonso, and also Ocon and Leclerc and Sebastian Vettel.
None of which are for position of...
The 5 cars that they talk about, that eventually then 5 cars get released. And it's ending, and it's ending. Wow. Brundle's just said none of which are for position, of course. Lando Norris is fighting for 5th position in the Drivers' Championship. He's trying to get World Championship points. Now that Perez has retired, that's shunted Norris up to 7th. 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, all World Championship point scoring positions, and Brundle says none of which are for position. What is he trying to get you to believe?
Of course, no. They're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here.
I suppose that is the compromise that race control have made here. What are you talking about? Okay? I suppose that is the compromise that race control have made here. Well, they're not making a compromise, are they? They're just carrying out the mandatory regulations that the track isn't safe. Now, I don't know if we'll see any more of Latifi, because I think at this stage we will check to see what we can see of Nicholas Latifi's car camera. We'll see. Yeah, so unfortunately it's spinning around now, so it's still on the crane, so I don't know if we'll get any more glimpses of oh, we might, depends how much it turns round. Have to stop it, because otherwise the footage that I use will get blocked on copyright if I use continual footage. But we might get to see what's going on track. We may, or we... Okay, let's see if we can zoom this. Unfortunately, it's not good footage, but there does appear to be something orange there. Yeah, there we go. Actually, there was definitely... There we go. Marshall's still on track. Orange, Marshall's still on track as they're coming around turn 9. Okay, and we'll cut back, and they're going to be past turn 9 when I go to track view now.
Typical.
Okay, so I'm going to come back I suppose that is the compromise.
Is the compromise that race control have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car. They've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
What makes you think that? That's not in the rules. That's not in the regulations whatsoever. It is not safe to release the lapped cars, so you continue lapping behind the safety car, and you have the contracted broadcaster saying to you all, saying to us all, I suppose that is the compromise that race control is making here. In order to get racing to the finish, they've decided. They're saying all this before that's even happened. They're priming you to believe that that is going to happen. That's not allowed to happen. What do they know? What do they know? It's not allowed to happen, and they're telling you this is what is going to happen. This is what is going to happen. It's not allowed to happen. And they're telling you that this is going to happen. Understand that. How do they know? How do they know that this is what's going to happen? Because if you're just going in accordance with the rules of the sport, okay, and you know what's going on, which you don't get shown, then all that's happening right now, the reality of all that is actually happening right now, is they're carrying out the procedure, which is to keep lapping behind that safety car until it is safe to carry out the procedure. It's not safe to carry out that procedure. I've just shown you that there's marshals still on track sweeping that area. So therefore the track isn't safe, and therefore you continue lapping behind the safety car. That's all that happens. That's all there is. Forget the hype, forget the excitement. We're dealing with an issue, and you'll stay lapping behind the safety car until that point in time, until the point where this issue is dealt with, and then we'll carry out the procedure. But what are you hearing from Crofty? What you're hearing from Crofty is this.
Sebastian Vettel.
None of which are for position, of course.
No.
They're obliged to get out of the way, but Lewis will be long down the road.
That I suppose is the compromise that race control have made here by giving the best possible chance for racing to the finish rather than finishing behind the safety car.
It's a show. It's a show. It's an entire contrivance. It is a fraud. It is the fraudulent manipulation of a sport.
They've decided the lap cars will stay where they are.
And then F1 TV, the creators of the narrative. These are the people that show you the footage, that don't show you what's going on at turn 14. They don't show you that there's marshals on the track clearing it up. Instead, this radio message that actually took place from turn 5 down to turn 6, they're playing that you now to make you think that Red Bull feel hard done by.
Cancel that lap cars will not be allowed to overtake.
Yeah, of course. Typical decision.
It's classic.
I'm not surprised.
Poor Red Bull. Poor Red Bull are being thwarted to deny Max the opportunity of winning the championship. Poor Red Bull. That's what F1 TV want you to think. Red Bull feel hard done by.
Well, look, I'll try and look at this objectively. We should get one lap of racing here.
Why? How do we get one lap of racing? Well, the only way that we get one lap of racing is if these lapped cars are released between now and where this checkered flag is, the start-finish line. It's not going to happen because that order cannot be given. The reason the order can't be given, if we go to the global feed now, and we'll see where we end up, see what they're showing us at this moment in time as they're coming by turn 14.
Of racing.
Oh, they're showing us the drama. They're showing us Kelly Piquet praying. Oh, nail-biting stuff. Red Bull want to know, are we going to get any racing or not? It's irrelevant.
to the checkered flag. So what do Red Bull want?
It's not about what Red Bull want. It's what about the lives of these guys here in the orange overalls. These guys that were sweeping the track, that are still on the track. It's not safe yet. The clerk of the course hasn't declared that track safe yet. You know, I was showing you Nicholas Latifi's camera. There's the crane. There's Nicholas Latifi's car. The camera was pointing at these guys on this bit of track, sweeping it up. But you don't get to see that on the global feed because F1 TV do not show you that.
Max Verstappen and Gianpiero Lambiase is race
Marshall's now departing the track.
engineer. Do they want the chance?
Do Red Bull want the chance?
Or do they want to finish behind the safety car?
Or do Red Bull want to finish behind the safety car? Here's Max.
With no overtaking.
With no overtaking.
Because I think that is the decision that has come from race.
Because you think that that's the decision that's come from race control. What would you make? Why would you think that that is the decision when you're seeing the track not safe to carry out this procedure? Why would the commentary be saying that that is what they think is the decision that has come from race control? Oh, and all of a sudden, after the event, race control made an error. Michael Massey was under pressure and he made an error. But real-time commentary are saying, I think this is the error that he's making. He hasn't made that error yet. Michael Massey has not made that error yet because you don't unlap when it's not safe to unlap. Go to track of view.
With no overtaking. Because
so, as we know, Verstappen has passed that incident and he's there now. Look at where Hamilton is now. Just about to start lap 57. Has the order been given to these lapped cars to unlap? And there's 8. And the furthest one back is Mick Schumacher, that's just in front of Gasly and Tsunoda. There's Mick Schumacher. He needs to unlap. Even if the order is given now, okay, and which is having had all of these cars past that scene, and then the clerk of the course do his checks, check the barrier, make sure that he's happy to then convey back to the race director, yes, the track is now being swept, it's safe, it's good to go, the barriers are checked, you can now carry out your procedure. It's only now, at the very, very earliest, that the race director can give the order to unlap. That's going to be lap 57. That means that lap 58 has to be that mandatory safety car lap. That means that this race 100% is a safety car finish. Lewis Hamilton is an 8-time world champion, providing he can keep his car on the track, providing he doesn't break down, providing he doesn't get a puncture. He's an 8-time world champion, a record-breaking 8-time world champion. But commentary, Brundle and Crofty of Sky Sports F1 say this. And actually, it turns out that nowhere across the world in any different language do they point this out differently. Strange that, isn't it?
I think that is the decision that has come from race control. And personally, this is the decision that gives them the best chance if they want it.
Yeah.
Is this part of any regulation? Personally, this is the decision that gives Red Bull the best chance if Red Bull want it. What's going on, people? What is going on?
I mean, the regulation, as I said, they may allow the lap cars through. It's not mandatory.
It's on the grounds of safety, Martin. It says if it is safe to do so, and you give the message to all the eligible people that they've got to now do this, yeah, it's mandatory. And it's mandatory for the purpose that Lando Norris was previously in a battle with Pierre Gasly. Here is Lando Norris now. That is Pierre Gasly now. You cannot allow somebody crashing to cause Lando Norris to now be left almost a lap behind Gasly, whilst at the same time all of the other gaps between all of the other competitors have all been wiped out. That is the purpose. You lie about that. But instead, we get F1 TV, the creators of the narrative, they decide to pick out a message and play the message to the world to make you feel a certain way about it.
Pointed out, but as you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through.
They disorientate you. They pretend that they've got balance. Oh, on one hand, they don't have to do this because it's not mandatory. But as you point out, if they don't, then there'll be no racing. You know, what should we say? Should it be this? Should it be that? Disorientate you rather than explain to you the clear facts of the situation.
Because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and there will be one racing lap.
Why do you think that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and there will be one racing lap? There is nothing in the regulations that would say that that is going to be the case. You tell us afterwards that Michael Massey made an error under pressure. Just a race director that made a mistake. Where is the mistake? Because so far, well, the FIA gave out that banner, didn't they? Lapped cars will not be allowed to overtake. That's not an official banner. So the contrivance had already begun then. How did you know it was a contrivance, Brundle and Crofty? You're just the commentators. You're just commentating on the screens that are in front of you, that you're seeing the action unfold in front of you. So what do you know, lads? What do you know? Because all that's happening is, oh, the incident isn't yet clear at turn 14, so we can't carry out the mandatory procedure. If we can't carry out that mandatory procedure, we can't go racing again. Oh, we're now on lap 57. We haven't carried out that mandatory procedure, so even if we carry it out on this lap, lap 58 is still behind the safety car. This is going to be a safety car finish. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the process of witnessing history. Providing Lewis Hamilton can keep his car on track, he is going to be an 8-time world champion. That is the only authentic commentary that there is. But Brundle thinks otherwise. Brundle, the expert of the sport, 38 years experience at this stage.
As you point out, Crofty, there'd be no racing laps if they let the lap cars through. Because I think the safety car will come in at the end of this lap and there will be one racing lap.
Why would you think so? F1 TV.
They'll all get blue flags, I would imagine.
Christian and Michael.
Yes, go ahead, Christian.
Yeah, why aren't we getting these lap cars out of the way?
Just give me, well, because Christian, just give me a second. Okay, my big one is to get this incident clear.
You only need one racing lap.
An irrelevant message. The race director's role is to ensure the rules of the sport are applied and that the safety of the race, the safety of the event is paramount. So it's his job to assess what's going on and deal with the safety incidents in accordance with the regulations of the sport. So he's handed over to the clerk of the course. The clerk of the course is clearing Latifi's car, using the marshals to put out a fire, sweep the track, then check the barriers to make sure that they're capable of withstanding a similar incident should a similar thing happen again. Once that is fully dealt with, he'll then hand back to race control and say, right, the track is now safe to go. You can carry out your procedures. F1 TV know the rules of the sport. They're professionals. They are there with their cameras showing you the footage, but when you are that involved in the sport, you know how the sport operates. We're now on lap 57. We know that these lapped cars still have not been released. Therefore, even if they are released this lap, lap 58 is that mandatory safety car lap. This is a safety car finish. F1 TV know that it's a safety car finish, yet play to the world Christian Horner's message saying we only need one racing lap. That's an irrelevance. That can't happen. Why are they playing that to you? If a communication happens which is irrelevant, which is a contravention of the rules of the sport, why would the broadcaster play it? Why would the broadcaster just not dismiss it as being irrelevant? That's an irrelevant message. We're now on lap 57. That can't happen. We're not playing that to the world. It's misleading. Why would F1 TV choose that message?
Well, I assume Christian's talking about then, you know, getting the lap cars out of the way, not clearing the incidents away.
Yeah, I mean, all of the cars in front of Max will get blue flags and are duty bound.
It's our absolute narrative. They use this notion of, oh, they'll all get blue flags. They'll all have to just get out of the way and let him by. You can't resume racing like this. You absolutely can't, and yet they embellish the lie with that notion of blue flags that we see when you are racing and the leaders come up to lap some of the other cars, then that car that's about to be lapped by the leader gets a blue flag. So they're using that, which is something that we all kind of know about from that context, and they're using that in this context, which it does not apply. And yet they're using it to disorientating you, to convince you of the narrative. But Red Bull still feel hard done by. Why aren't we getting them out of the way? Well, because it's not about getting them out of the way. It's about Lando Norris here, the orange dot behind Lewis Hamilton. He's trying to race Gasly, and he can't now. Lando Norris wants to finish 5th in that championship. He can't now.
To get out of the way, but they're all in a reasonable fight themselves, aren't they?
Well, yes, they are all in a reasonable fight themselves, but it's not a reasonable fight between Norris and Gasly, is it? So if he can't fight, then nobody can fight. It's a safety car finish. Okay? If Sainz here in, where is he? Sainz, this red dot, if he can't fight for second, then nobody can fight. Second can't fight with first. It applies to everybody. You can't just set it up for just one car to fight another car.
So here we go. Normally.
Here we go. So here we go. Where are we going? Where are we going, Crofty? Here we go.
You know, you'd see the race leader backing up the pack a little bit when the safety car goes. I would imagine on this occasion, if we do get a lap, Martin, Hamilton will want to be disappearing off into the distance as fast as he can.
Yeah, I don't see any way Verstappen can do anything with that. But indeed, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it should do, could do.
Commentary, we think the safety car should do, could do. Why do you think that? Why do you think, as commentators of this sport, think that the rules are going to be broken before they're broken? Why do you think that? You're being paid to condition people. Why do you think the rules are going to be broken before they're broken, lads?
Is there any more debris to clear up?
You think that the safety car will be coming in this lap, but you don't know whether or not there's debris to clear up. You think they're going to go racing again with debris still on the track, do you? You're disorientating people, aren't you? What's going to happen? Is it this? Is it that? We don't know. We think this could happen. It might not be that happen. Oh, they'll get blue flags, but oh! Keep it crazy, lads. Keep it crazy.
But we're halfway round already.
Race control are now saying lapped cars to overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to
and it's
overtake
ending.
it.
And it's ending. Wow.
And it's ending. Wow! What a surprise. Well, you told us back here that you think that the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap, and we will get one racing lap. I don't know what made you think that, but you thought it back here, Brundle. You think, is the safety car coming in this lap? We think it could do, should do. Is there any more debris on the track? And it's ending! And it's ending! Wow! Why are you so surprised? You've already made that prediction twice. When Latifi crashed, you told us there was bound to be a couple. You've been lying about the rules of the sport ever since. You've been conditioning everybody, and now you're surprised that it's going to happen. Oh, I'm surprised that the rules are going to be broken to make this happen. But F1 TV aren't that surprised, and the reason that F1 TV aren't surprised, they've got queued up Toto Wolff, the man that's now got $177 million in his bank account for winning the Constructors' Championship, when Red Bull took away any chance of them winning it. Michael, you can't do this to us. Seamless, isn't it? Seamless.
To overtake the safety car. So Norris and Alonso and Ocon and Leclerc and Vettel to
and it's
overtake
ending.
it.
And it's ending. Wow.
Mike.
You know, you couldn't make it up, could you? You know, if you're the person in charge of creating that feed, you know, you're cutting from camera to camera to camera. I know, let's cut straight to Toto to see if Toto's saying anything about this. Oh, that was incredible. We cut to Toto just at the moment in time where he was saying that the race director's not doing this right. You couldn't make it up, could you? Or could you? Well, yes, because they did.
So, there's confusion, but the safety...
What? Who's confused? Who's been disorientating everybody?
Safety car is coming in at the end of this lap, so those back markers allowed to overtake the safety car, and that has now left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen.
Michael, this isn't right.
Oh, so we have to throw the world a bone. We have to pretend that, oh, there's two sides of an argument here. One side doesn't think that it's right, but
it has left Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen side by side. Hamilton...
Yeah, what about third place? You know, Carlos Sainz, he's in third place in this race. We've got first and second. Who's going to win between first and second in this race? You're not allowed to do that. You've got third place here. He might overtake second and finish second himself. You never know. He might even overtake first. Who knows? Where's seventh relative to sixth? Well, seventh is here, going round turn 1 now. Can he challenge sixth? Well, sixth is here at turn 11. No, you're not allowed to restart like that.
Will be ahead. Verstappen is absolutely desperate to get on with this on that soft compound tyre. We're going to have one lap of racing.
But keep hyping everybody up, because look at what you're seeing, everybody. This is incredible. This is the best thing you've ever going to see. It's not allowed to happen, lads. And you're the sporting commentators. You're the experts.
To decide the championship in 2021, Hamilton has the advantage.
It's a fraud. It's a contrivance. I'm going to forward this to the UK Serious Fraud Office. I've already reported this a number of times. They have ignored it. They have suggested to me that perhaps I go and watch another sport. I'm going to send this to UK government to investigate crime so that there is a consequence for crime. What kind of a world do we live in when billionaire companies can perpetrate crime and there be no consequence for it? What kind of a world do we live in where the media conditions minds to believe things to be possible when it is a crime, when it is a fraud, when they lie to us all about what is really happening? Share this with people, wake people up. This is far bigger than just the sport of Formula One. Use this as an example to realise that these are the dynamics that are going on in this world for things that do affect your lives and affect my life. These are the dynamics. We have a media that is paid to lie to us, to condition us to believe that things are a certain way when that is not the truth. This is a clear example of the media being utilised to lie for a contrivance. This contrivance is a fraud. The fixing of a sporting event. Liberty Media made $4.8 billion in that 2021 season that they contrived. They sold it to you as a sport. They got you to invest your money, your time, your emotion. You bought tickets to events. You bought TV packages to watch a sport. This isn't a sport. This is a contrivance. They manufactured this. They made money out of this, and there needs to be a consequence. It is a fraud, and the perpetrators need to be held to account for it, and there need to be consequences. Those liars in the media need jail time. Let's be clear about this. They need jailing for their role in a fraud, a global fraud. They are criminals. So please share this content. I've got lots more to come, so please like, Please subscribe, because there is a lot more to come on this. Wake people up. It's far bigger than Formula One. Those that aren't interested in the sport of Formula One, I don't care. Use this as an example. See what the media is doing to us all, and what governments are doing, because the government, the governing body of the sport, lied about what the rules of the sport are. They facilitated the manipulation. They facilitated it for Liberty Media to make $4.8 billion. And they did so because they get a cut of it. Every team didn't call it out. The reason they didn't call it out is because they get a cut of it. For those people who stand to benefit, for those people who the system is working for, those people who are getting rich out of it, they will fight to defend it. But who are they taking advantage of in the process? Each and every one of us is paying for it. Each and every one of us is being lied to, and there is no consequence for them. They're just enabled to continue making the money that they are and living the lifestyle that they are. That is the same dynamics that is happening in everything else that's going on in this world. We have laws, we have rules. They're not being enforced. We have regulatory bodies. They're not doing anything. We have law enforcement. They are not doing anything. Who is controlling them? Who is actually controlling these? Wake up, people. This is far bigger than Formula One. The same dynamics are happening in every facet of our lives. Criminals acting as parties with so-called integrity, so-called governing bodies, so-called media companies, so-called companies, big businesses with integrity. It's malpractice. It's criminal behaviour. Nobody's calling it out. They're making money. That's what's happening. That is what is happening. Once again, please share the content. More people need to see it. Thank you for your time.